Shake, shake, shake.
Shake, 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 shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty.
We'll top it up.
Well, you want a good topping?
Please, sir, can I have some more?
To no longer being imprisoned by a government.
Yes. We've been isolating for the past 7 days.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty mad. Welcome back to A Story Worth Telling. We hope you are enjoying all of our content. I imagine you would be, otherwise you
Why are you
wouldn't
talking
be.
like a robot?
Yeah, we hope you've been enjoying it all. Like I said, if you weren't, you probably wouldn't be watching this, so...
Well, if you haven't, go check out some of the other
Yes.
crap.
True.
Got plenty of it.
We've decided to swap tea for Prosecco because we're crazy cats.
Shh, we can't be advertising alcohol on here.
Really?
No, I have no idea.
This week, we are
Finally.
bringing back all the excitement that everyone, I'm sure, has been waiting for. Do you know what I find interesting about Love Victor is that it's very much...
We're doing Love Victor!
Oh yeah, we're doing Love Victor, by the way. We're doing season 2. But what I find interesting is that there's a lot of like gay teen dramas going on. And I guess this particular show is very much the kind of one that everyone's fixated on right now. It's very popular. It really stands out as like a kind of a forward-thinking show that wants to tackle so many issues, and it wants to really kind of like put forward a gay-centric story that kind of keeps people engaged. Yeah, it's really good. Also, this is part 1 because there's a lot to cover.
Oh yeah, we're going to do it in 2 parts.
This is part 1.
Yeah.
So we're going to do like the first 5 episodes because this is so much.
Yeah, so from here on out, spoilers. Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Episode 1, Scene 1. And action.
Mom, Dad, I'm gay. I love you.
I'm sorry, I don't, when did you decide this?
I didn't decide it. I just am it. Mom, could you please say something?
I think that we should get some rest.
I'm sure they just need some time.
I think that was a brilliant way to restart it. Firstly, I love anything that like
That's continuity.
goes right back into where you left off for the cliffhanger, because you're like, yes, we're there again. I feel like that was a really accurate scene because it wasn't on either end of like the spectrum of extremes that we often see in like media. It was kind of like there was so many different reactions to it. There was his sister kind of being very, very supportive there.
The instant contact
Yeah.
that she talks about recently.
And then there was this kind of like, it's not bad, but it's not good, but you know, it feels like an authentic reaction for parents who like just aren't sure where they sit.
I'm not sure there's anything to add there. I mean, it's just like that is probably what you can expect.
Yeah.
Salazar, you still Vic deep in that?
Not funny. Also, we broke up.
Why?
You know, I was here for the summer and she was 200 miles away at some summer camp.
What was that? I thought we were gonna be honest.
The first minute of the first day, can we just kind of ease our way into it?
No, I was Vic deep in that.
I do find Benji a little bit pushy sometimes.
Yeah, he is portrayed in this season as like the person who's really like trying to push their relationship forward and into like kind of the new unknown territory for Victor.
And I can understand that because I think it's very difficult to navigate a relationship when you are at a different stage than someone else, and trying to find those sort of I guess, compromises and ways of making things work so you both are happy. But also, you know, I can completely understand Victor, because that is, like you said, it's literally the first day. Like, it's a big deal. It's a big deal coming out to loads of people. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of like,
Well,
chill,
we talk about that in gay world, like gay world.
in the world of gays.
Rainbows. You don't come out once, you come out almost every day to everyone you meet. So it is kind of that thing of like, oh, okay, well, you kind of have to make a choice in every situation whether you're going to use that to come out or whether you're just going to kind of let it slide. And I think for Victor here, he's not ready for that bit, so he's just going to let it slide. And we shouldn't like come for people.
Yeah, the thing with coming out as well, when you consider it at like its most sort of basic form, essentially what you're doing is you're telling someone something that you think they might then change their opinion of you. And having to do that to so many people is a difficult thing. And it gets easier as you go along. But the first couple is like, it's a big deal. It's a very much big, it's a huge thing.
For me, it's definitely more simple when you're meeting people for the first time. And like at some point during your life, you will have come out to basically everyone that you had a relationship with before the point where you first came out, right? So at that point, everyone who knew you before now knows you're gay. So whoever you're coming out to is going to be new, and they haven't already formed an opinion of you. So that becomes less of a fear that they're going to switch off.
And we see him in this series, and he's in the cafe, and he's, you know, kissing Benji, and there's probably total strangers there. It's a very easy thing when people who essentially are strangers or you don't have any connection with know things like that. But people who have perceived you as one thing, it's a huge deal, because it's not necessarily about, oh, I can't be my authentic self, but it's about what is that person, how is that person going to react? You know, I could empathize in that situation because those are essentially 3 heterosexual big jocks there. Like, you've no idea what could happen in that situation. And so you always have to consider every possible outcome. And it's easy for someone who's already out to be like, oh, come on, it's fine. But it's not that easy.
Yeah. Next!
However, saying all that, he does then go to the extreme.
Hey!
Yeah.
Mia didn't cheat on me. It's not anyone's fault. I'm gay. And I'm with Benji now. I don't want it to be a secret anymore because I'm happy about it. It wasn't as smooth as I planned, but Benji and I are officially out of Creekwood. Maybe one day I can inspire someone to be themselves. Love, Victor.
Oh, that's actually just got me. I've already seen it, but that actually just got me.
It's also really cute that they got Raheem in that scene as well. I missed that.
I
That's
love
so cute.
Raheem.
Inspiring other gays.
Talk about it.
Listen, I think it's awesome. I really do. I mean, I'm basically gay and living with my best friend Mike for 20 years, and we share a soda stream, so... Okay, I want you to feel comfortable and safe. If you would now like to maybe change away from the other guys, I mean, we could figure that out.
Thanks, but I'll just keep showering and changing with the rest of the team.
Victor, there have been some complaints.
Complaints about me changing with the team?
I'm just trying to keep everybody happy, okay?
Are we going to be sharing a show to stream in 20 years' time?
Bloody hope not.
As teachers, I feel like there needs to be a bit of recognition because they're dealing with young people as well who are coming sort of like, you know, into the early stages of finding out who they are. And it must be such a difficult job kind of navigating that, being an ally, but also kind of realizing that there are also young people who will be influenced by their parents and their thoughts on those situations.
Well, it's kind of similar to what was going on in Birmingham recently, complaining about, you know, certain material being read out to the kids in class. And, you know, that puts it, I mean, thankfully the teachers kind of had the backing of the unions and the councils and things, and they kind of just held their ground. But you know, sometimes there will be schools that feel like they have to, you know, have to adhere to whatever the parents are demanding is taught in the class, and that's really challenging.
The thing is, the whole like changing room thing, you're kind of associating gay with sexualizing everything, and it's really annoying because it's like it's nothing to do with that. It's not about you.
No, oh my god, this gay is going to find me attractive. How am I going to deal with that?
Yeah,
Get over
like
yourself.
oh god. But I will say I am uncomfortable in changing rooms, and I think it's because a sense of having a little bit of hostility of people knowing the fear of repercussions from that. And I will say, like, if I'm in a changing room, I will often like try to avoid changing with other people, because if I ever get the sense that one of them might think I am gay, then yeah, I do feel like there may be hostility there. It's an even bigger issue with the whole you know, trans bathroom thing and changing rooms, and that is still something that needs to be worked on hugely, and you need to kind of make it an environment where the people who are essentially being persecuted actually are comfortable to do the things they want to do. It should be less about them and more about Victor. Do you know what I mean? Like, because essentially he's either being kicked out or he risks being like beaten up. In here, and I think in society, we're going like, oh, but let's please the people who are enjoying the use of the changing rooms and the bathroom, because they might get angry, and it's like,
It's not about them.
Yeah.
Mom, meet Heather, my new turtle. She's gonna live here and in Dad's apartment.
Heather!
So, Benji came over tonight. I saw him and Victor acting like a couple, and I
get it. It's a lot for me to wrap my head around.
Do you think you ever will?
He's my son, and it's who he is. I have to.
Welcome to PFLAG. For our first-timers, this is a support group for parents, families, and allies of LGBTQ people. We're here to talk about how great and weird and complicated coming out can be, not just for the people doing it, but for all of us.
I'm Armando, and my son just came out. Yeah.
Oh, Jack, you daddy. I love it. 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 I love it.
I didn't even know these are things.
Yeah. It's a fantastic thing. And you know what? You don't know about it because it's just not shown enough. It's another aspect of LGBT lives and what goes on around us that we don't see enough of. And it's fantastic to finally get some positive ally representation in which you're showing, instead of, you know, a family either going, I love you, or I hate you, get out of my house, you're showing a family and parents going, okay, let me find a resource to deal with it. Oh, I know, there's this thing called PFLAG. It's where parents who have, you know, children who are coming out discuss it, and it's fantastic. And if you showed this to parents a lot more, we might get somewhere. This is the one part of this series that I think is like the absolute top level best of representation. Like, if I had to like rate any part of this series, I would say the way in which they show these meetings, because it's not just once as well, it's a series of them.
Back.
There is a kind of sense of he is evolving though, and he's learning things.
And he's trying to get Liz to go with him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and then she does end up going, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's like some of the best. I would rate it on par with like one of the near end episodes of season 1 where he meets up with Bram
in New
and
York.
discussing, you know, what kind of gay person. It's a great bit of education that this show is doing.
Yeah, I'm sorry for everything.
Did you know you were gay the whole time we dated?
Kind of. I also didn't. I just loved being around you, and I thought that if there was any girl.
You know what really sucks? I feel like I'm not allowed to be mad at you. Coming out is the most important thing you've ever done. I want you to be happy. Wish that you doing the most important thing you've ever done didn't make me feel like shit.
You were so amazing. You know that? Even after everything, you still want me to be me.
Of course I do. What kind of person wouldn't?
So this, for me, is my favorite scene. This conversation is like eerily similar to a conversation I've had in a basically exactly the same situation.
Really?
When you're coming out, it's this amazing thing for you, and there's all these new things and experiences, and generally people are happy for you. And for the person who I was with at the same time, who I then broke up with, she didn't have like that kind of support network, because everyone was supporting me for my journey and my experience, which was this big thing, and she didn't feel like she had the same level of support, and she like she said, she wasn't able to vent that sadness and anger and process those emotions properly and get that kind of closure, because, you know, it's about being gay. This is great because it shows that, you know, it's not just about the person that comes out, it's also about the people that they're with and the relationships between those like people around them in their lives.
Yeah. And also I think it's really important that if this is true for a lot of people, it's finding ways to reconcile those bonds and have those conversations, because it's probably the one form of breakup in which it really has nothing to do with whether or not, you know, someone was to blame or not. It's just,
I think that's the thing, there isn't one.
Yeah.
You can't blame the fact that they're gay. That's it. And also what you said there, where it's like, I kind of did know, but I also didn't. I mean, that is so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Because you kind of you reconcile those thoughts and, you know, explain them away in your mind as something else, and it never really comes to, you know, a whole picture until it does, and then once it's got there, you can't go back.
I just need to talk. One virgin to another. Must be so much simpler with two guys.
Don't be so sure.
Are you stressed about having sex with Benji?
Benji's had sex before, and I have no idea what I'm doing. When it's two guys, how do you know who's supposed to do what? Straight people grow up seeing other straight people have sex in movies. I didn't have that, unless you count porn, which is usually really fast and grunty, and they're always named Cade. I just really needed a gay person talking through this.
Oh, I love that scene. Oh,
It was a good one.
Again, another fantastical educational point. Like fantastic. It's so true. It is. If there's one thing to almost take away from that whole bit, is that line about straight people that grow up. You will grow up watching a version of what goes on in the bedroom that represents exactly what goes on for you. And for gay, lesbian, whatever it is, for LGBTQ people, we don't. We have to essentially figure out, with virtually no limited mass media of like actually accessible, representation of what goes on. So we have no idea. Like, it's so totally true. And you do have to kind of find it in porn. And like, porn, as we all know, is really not, again, a very accurate representation of what goes on.
Not good.
When you begin that scene, my first thought is, he shouldn't be talking to to Felix about this. And then he actually says that at the end. He's like, I just need to talk to a gay person about this. It's so true. It's like, you can't...
They're not going to know.
Yeah, he's not going to know. Exactly. And it's so... Yeah. It's funny how when you watch a lot of scenes in this show, they start off on the level of like, okay, this is the problem, and this is like the assumptions, and we need to kind of find a way in which they get to, figuring out the answers to, because we watch it and we go, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And then he himself goes, yeah, that's wrong, and I need to figure that out, and you're not the person for that. And then you go, oh, of course, like, yeah, it's really well done, and it's so true. Like, yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
but of course, the only solution really is just to communicate with that person.
Totally. And the thing is, it should have been they should have communicated long before going to this cabin. I've got to fucking figure that shit out.
Holy shit! Close the door. Felix, what did you do?
I had a little manscaping accident. What happened to your head?
Fell off the bed.
Look at us. Two virgins bleeding out in the bathroom.
At least it's not on your head.
Oh, no. I got the head. Why don't you just tell Benji that you're nervous to have sex?
It's embarrassing.
More embarrassing than this.
Ew, Felix. Do you have any problems manscaping?
Did you really just ask me that?
What?
Morning. I love you. You don't have to say it back or anything, but I just... I love you too. Of course I do. Look at you, taking the lead in our relationship. It's okay. Yeah.
Whenever we were watching that, we were like, no!
I know. It's like, and then it fell at the last hurdle.
For God's sake.
It's just like, it was so close. And then
I'm sure one of them was.
Disgusting. And then it just fell at the last minute because it doesn't happen like that.
I think it was just like cute moment, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just do the
I think
and kind of skip over the sex part." But we were kind of like, at the time, we were like, "Oh, maybe they'll come back to it and cover it in a different episode," and they just don't.
They just don't.
And it's what a shame.
Yeah. So
after having that conversation with like, there's no good representation of like blah blah blah, and yes, obviously they're talking to each other, but they're not actually kind of even hinting at like safe sex, good sex.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, it's not to say that like, oh, I just always want to see like bad representation of bad sex between gay men, but the realities of gay sex is that in the majority of cases, it is not just a seamless moment. There are stops and starts and questions and answers needing, and especially for a first time as well.
It's not always romantic, like
yeah, it's not always romantic, you know. And I think yes, you could say that about any sex really, but specifically for men, I don't think I need to go into detail, but there's a reason for it. And also, if it's your first time and you don't know anything, then you aren't going to know those specifics. And even if it was just like a question was asked before, you know, we went to black, or like he was like, oh, hang on, I need to go to the toilet. Like, I don't know, like it could have been anything, or like, you know, it could have literally been anything. But to have it almost so seamlessly and essentially become that kind of sex that you do see in...
Oh, Brokeback Mountain, here we come again.
Yeah, but also it becomes that kind of sex that you do see in straight films, which is exactly the kind of sex that he says in the previous scene. Yeah. That's all I know. I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. I don't really, like, it just kind of sent it down a bit. I'm not happy about it. And also, he was like, is this okay? But I'm sorry.
Well, probably not.
Like...
Oh, maybe he's prepared.
What position were they doing? Because there was, like... They were just on top of each other.
Missionary honey.
But no, that's not how it works. The angles don't add up.
Do we need to draw you a diagram?
Feeling good about where I'm at in my life?
Armando and I were intimate. We have our problems, but I really want things to work out.
What kind of problems?
He doesn't really know how to talk about his emotions.
Coming here, I feel way more in touch with my feelings. And it just feels so good to not have everything bottled up inside.
Having a kid come out, it changes you. Last month, I went to drag queen bingo.
How was that?
Fun. My kid was brave enough to say I'm gay.
He is? When did he share this with you?
Armando has been surprisingly accepting of all of this, and I am struggling. I know that Victor didn't choose to be this way.
I think you're right to express your disapproval if you want Victor to know God's love.
Oh, that's what I was always taught.
Do you think God is in the business of providing loopholes?
I just thought maybe the church was a little more flexible nowadays.
I just thank God for giving me the courage to come here and to love my son for who he is.
Really does like contrast so much, doesn't it?
It's a really good way of showing two sides of the coin. Because like often I feel like we either see just the religious side or we see just the, you know, totally accepting side. But to have that kind of scene is really, I think it's really important. I think what most people would take from that is that, okay, well, there's one person who's genuinely happy there, and the other people who are not subscribing to what a religion is telling them shouldn't be allowed. And there's another person there who is unhappy and is. Religion is always a difficult topic to kind of broach with these things.
It is, but I feel like they do it in quite a nice way though, because even in that scene, Isabel is just already starting to kind of question whether, this is really the right guidance from Father Thomas, whatever his name is. Yeah, I think religion is so it's always going to be a tricky topic, but it has not been kind to the queer community. I think that's safe to say. And people still use religious justification to commit horrible crimes around the world.
People don't seem to think that the two can coincide. I know people who are both religious and LGBT and live a happy life without any sort of self-contradiction. To put it bluntly and without offending anyone, but I don't think a religion is a good religion if by its nature it condemns someone just for who they love. And I think a good religion is a religion that would be able to accept someone who can be faithful to that religion but also love who they want to love. I mean, surely that's the point of
Well said.
I thought you were done with basketball. You live for this. How many times do I have to tell you I'm not going to be part of a team that doesn't want me?
They will come around.
Because I am the least gay person alive.
Guessing that was a stupid thing to say.
No, it was perfect. Please, tell me what's the exact level of gay I should be. Too gay for the locker room, but I'm not gay enough for Benji and his friends, so where do I belong?
You belong in a basketball court.
What happens if one day I do want to be more gay?
If anyone has a problem with it, they can answer to me.
Do you really think that you're an ally because you watch Queer Eye? You haven't said shit to the guys that don't want me changing in the locker room with them. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to risk your reputation for the gay kid.
Parade! Parade!
The good kind of
As the old phrase goes, actions speak louder than words. It's so true. Being an ally is much more than
being accepting.
Than being accepting or saying gay rights, or putting a rainbow flag up, in your bed and going, see, I support gay. It's yeah, well, we are, so it's fine. It's so much more. It's action. It's actually standing up for people. It's being an influence in situations in which if a LGBT person is at a disadvantage or being threatened or, having their identity and their life compromised, being in that situation to know enough to be active and do something and support, be an ally, if you're going to consider what the word ally means in a battle, a good ally in a battle is not a person who's just sitting back at home being like, yeah, well done!
Thank you, Commander.
It's true, though.
It is true. Sometimes when it comes to allyship, I think it's especially important within the queer community itself to support other, sub-minorities. If you're ever, at a loss of, what to do to support the community, just ask. Ask that friend, ask that person, what can I do that would support you and support your community?
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to always necessarily be something grand. It can be the smallest of things. Are you the kind of person that would you stick up for someone if an LGBT person was getting bullied? Would you risk your reputation over it? That's what defines a person. And if you're saying to yourself, no, I wouldn't, then you're not a true ally. You are okay with gay people, but you're not an ally for them.
I think what's especially important is considering whether you would be an ally in their absence, if they're not there but being spoken about. If decisions are being made about their community and they're not represented, are you going to be that representation for them? I think there's so many ways that you can be an ally and be supportive. So yeah, just ask.
It is more than just saying, I'll beat them up for you, don't worry, when actually that's
when
not
push
happening.
comes to shove.
Yeah, when push comes to shove, where are you?
When spit comes to shove.
Anyway, that was part one. I feel like there was quite a lot of somber than we thought it was going to be. Sorry about it. But it's just brilliant. It's so good.
Good. Really enjoyed the series.
Yeah.
Subscribe if you want to see part 2.
Like, comment, consider joining our Patreon. We'll be discussing this week's video and lots more.
It's in the box. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the next video.
Bye. Here's getting fucked up.